for Create a Smile Stamps to create this awesome floral card using the Magic Flowers stamp. So you can take a look at the stamp set here. It's got some really great flowers that you can color on it. And today I'm going to be experimenting with some of my Zig brush markers because I just got them and I haven't really had a chance to use them yet, and I've been seeing some really great projects out there using them, and I thought I'd give them a try. So keeping in mind this is one of my very first attempts at using them, but overall I'm satisfied with the results. I'm going to lay out my flowers here on some Tim Holtz watercolor distress paper, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to be white embossing them on here to create a really great effect so that my outline is white and I don't get any bleeding when I would use ink. I'm going to be stamping these down using my Misty. You don't need to use a Misty to make this project, but my stamp press actually cracked in half, so I have to use these for my project now. So I'm just going to stamp these now using some Versamark ink, and turn on a light here so that it gets a little bit brighter. And I'm just going to stamp these. As I said, it doesn't really matter where you're stamping these because I'm going to be cutting these out anyway. So I just place them onto my Misty, ink them up in Versamark ink, and stamp them. And I stamped these actually on two separate pieces of paper, so I'm not going to show you the second time because that would be boring. And I'm just going to add some white embossing powder and heat emboss those so that I have two sets of these images. And that is mainly because I'm going to cut them out and make a nice collage of flowers afterwards, and so I needed more than just those few images there. So I'm using Ranger Superfine embossing powder, and this is really great for really detailed images, so you can use regular white embossing powder on these flowers as well, that wouldn't matter, but this is my favorite white embossing powder and pretty much the only one I use, so that's why. Next up, I'm just going to stamp a few more images just in case I need them, and I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did before. Okay, so now coming on to the painting, I am going to just put some water down over my flowers. Unfortunately, you can't see them at the moment because I haven't laid down any color and it's white on white. But when you're actually doing it in person and not on camera, you can actually see the white lines quite well. I'm going to be using two shades of green, yellow, and orange, and then a brown to make the sunflowers. And so I'm only using 5 out of the 12 Zig markers that come in the 12 pack. I'll list them over on my blog as well as the individual ones and the pack. So if you're interested in getting some of these markers, you can just check those out there and exactly the colors that I used if you only want to get these colors. So I'm just going through with my paintbrush. You can see I put down a little bit on the edges of the flowers, and then I went in with some water and a paintbrush and worked the yellow out towards the tips of the petals so that it was darker in the middle and lighter towards the end. Now orange I did on every second one, so those are actually the petals behind the big petals, and then I'm going in and going over those white petal marks like where the lines would be on actual petals with the orange and just blending those out as well. So at the moment, those are just drying, and I'm just going to lay down some water, some brown ink to do the middle, and then I'm going to add a little bit of orange in there as well and just spread out those colors. Now I'm going to be doing 2 of these actually, 2 of all of the images that I'm coloring right now, but I'm only going to show you the coloring on one of them obviously because I don't want to color the same sunflower twice and make you watch that. That wouldn't exactly be the most exciting thing. So I took the dark green and the light green and I'm just spreading those out over the leaf. So I'm just grabbing a smaller paintbrush this time, this is a finer detail one, and just spreading out those colors. They spread out quite easily if you put water down first, I find, so it's better to do that. Next up, I'm just going to go ahead and fold my card base because I'm going to be attaching all of my flowers that I colored and cut out. So I'm just arranging them onto my craft mat. Now if you have a cutting machine, you could have these flowers cut out super easily, but I cut these out by hand, so you're welcome to do that as well. And so anyway, I just cut out all the individual ones. All the sunflowers I colored it in the same manner. Some of them you can see are a little lighter than the other ones because I just used more water. Just gave it a little bit more of an effect, and it looked like I used multiple colors when in reality I only used orange and yellow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flowers, and some of them I'm going to put on 3D foam tape and some of them I'm going to glue down using some Tombow Mono liquid adhesive. What's really important in this process is giving a variety. So you want some of the flowers to pop up, some of them to be flat on the paper, and actually I'm only putting the Tombow, you can see, in the middle of the flower so I can pop up those petals and give it even more of a 3D look. This is definitely a card that you want to give in person and not send through the mail. So the small ones are on 3D foam tape, the large ones are glued in the middle using just liquid glue, and I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the ends of or on the bottoms of the leaves, so then I can puff those ones up as well. The glue's strong enough that it will hold, and as long as the card doesn't get jerked around too much or played with too much, then everything should hold no problem. So lastly, what I needed to do was add my sentiments. So I'm putting a happy chipboard shape from Creative Smile stamps, which I absolutely love. They're really awesome when you just need something extra on your card. These are a great way to add them. You can also color them with paints or Copic markers or really any sort of medium. But I decided to keep my neutral today because I thought that blended well with the flowers and didn't really distract from the nice collage. So I'm stamping happy, or I put down the happy chipboard, and then I'm going to stamp birthday. And this is from, I believe that it's called Make a Wish stamp from Create a Smile. And so I'm just going to use my Misty once again, ink that up using black ink, and then I'm going to stamp that onto my card, the birthday, underneath the flowers. Alright, so I'm inking this up, as I said, using VersaFine black ink. It's my absolute favorite ink to use with sentiments because it's just so crisp and clear. It is a pigment ink, so it does take a couple seconds to dry, longer than the dye ink, but overall it's completely worth it in my opinion to leave it for 3 seconds. The only thing when you're stamping with the Misty and you have all these 3D elements, you gotta make sure that you brush off any excess ink that got onto the actual acrylic plate there, because if I had stamped that down, I would have gotten that black all over my flowers. It was a good thing that I got it. So overall, I'm super satisfied with the card. Absolutely love the way the flowers come off here, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. So thanks so much for watching my video, everyone. All the supplies used are linked to below in the video description, as well as on my blog, which I'll link to right now. So click here up at the top to visit my blog and supply list. You can click on the moving video there to check out my last video that I made yesterday, and you can click on the right to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.